Hello everyone, it's Davide here and welcome back to Learning Finance. In today's video guys, I want to talk about Square. So the Square stock, ticker symbol SQ, which if you follow my channel, you know that I have always been bullish on Square since early this summer, first time I make videos about it. And now the last video I made, the Square was like around $270 per share. I told you that at that price I wasn't feeling comfortable to add more to the position, and then as you know, during the last 10 days basically the market made us a gift, right? Because Square, since the last time I made that video, basically from the top to the bottom of Friday went down almost 33%. So now obviously it's becoming interesting again. And Cathie Wood from ARK Invest in Benzinga just a couple of days ago went on and dropped another bomb, basically by saying that we think that fintech is probably one of the most misunderstood of all the technology platforms, and that it can actually gut the banks, right? Anyway, we are gonna see all of that, and also I'm gonna take a look at the valuation right now, whether it's a buy right now or not. The only thing I ask you is please leave me an early like, it's very important and I thank you for it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new updates. Let's begin. Alright guys, so let's start with what Cathie Wood said at the Benzinga interview about Square stock and basically wallets, digital wallets itself. Fintech is probably one of the most misunderstood of all the technology platforms, and then digital wallets are going to gut banks, according to Cathie Wood. Digital wallets will be responsible for customers' banking and also loans, debit cards and credit cards, as well as for buying crypto and stocks. Digital wallets are not only going to do our banking, they are going to be bank branches in our pockets, she said. As we know, Square is one of Cathie Wood's high confidence stocks, right? One of probably the largest position after Tesla stock. And if you remember from my previous video where I basically showed you the ARK Invest big ideas of 2021, over there we can see that she made actually 3 or 4 pages. The analysts ARK made 3 or 4 pages just with digital wallets. Okay, so the Square idea, by saying that they represent a 4.6 trillion opportunity in your pocket. We believe that Venmo, Cash App, and venture-funded startups are likely to upend traditional banking by activating the mobile phones, the bank branches, in users' pockets and handbags. They made a comparison with China. As we know, China, in terms of digital wallet, they have been the first actually in the world to use that technology. We see that in China in 2020, the third-party mobile payments was actually almost 3 times China GDP, right? So the usage over there is pretty massive. And that can be in the United States as well. Anyway, as I also told you, Square is not the only one in that environment, right? Because we have Cash App, but then you have a lot of stuff in the US, and then going on also globally, you can find different businesses, right? So it's a competitive environment. Anyway, it's a big one. And as we can see from here, JP Morgan Chase deposits account with a Cash App and Venmo, basically, they went up parabolically, and in 2020, they are overtaking JP Morgan's one, right? So that's obviously an interesting stuff. That makes you understand where the overall trend is going. That's obviously interesting to see. But if you remember from my previous video when I went on the earnings, I told you that yes, they are okay. Considering that 2020 has been the year of the pandemic, but I was expecting something more. Most of all, I told you how going on in the future, I want to see this, which are basically the seller part, which is a huge part of Square's business, and not just the Cash App, which is obviously brilliant. But I also want to see the seller part going higher, continuing to grow substantially in the transaction-based revenue and in the subscription and services-based revenue, which are the two what I like to call golden business divisions of Square, the most efficient one, where Square makes money for real. And as we can see, as I pointed out in the previous video, in 2020, due to the pandemic, that part of the seller business didn't grow much, right? We basically stayed flat. And I want to see this going on in the future. Now, just some days ago, it came out this news over there that Cash App's parent company, basically Square, just opened a bank, Square Financial Service Bank. Very interesting because, as we can see, after receiving Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation approval around a year ago, the parent company of mobile paying service Cash App, which is Square obviously, has now opened up its own bank. A subsidiary of Square, Square Financial Services, will offer business, loan, and deposit product beginning with underwriting and originating business loan for Square Capital's existing lending product. Moving forward, Square Financial Services will be the primary provider of financing for Square sellers across the US. The launch of the bank venture came directly from Twitter. Square CEO Jack Dorsey, who tweeted a link to an official statement regarding the start of banking operation. And now that is obviously massive. I told you that I wanted to see growth on the seller part. And by basically opening a real bank with the reopening of the economy as well, right? Because the seller part has been drastically hit by the pandemic, obviously. Probably my desire to see not just the Cash App growing, but also the primary business of Square, it can probably become true, right? A reality. And so I'm very happy to see that, actually. In the previous video where Cathie Wood said that Square can destroy banks, she said that this summer as well. But in my opinion, the two things are quite different because the financial service sector is probably one of the biggest in the world. It's big enough, in my opinion, for normal banks and fintech to actually coexist. In order to destroy a bank, a real bank, you need to become a bank by yourself. This is because if you go to see the definition of a bank, is basically that institution that takes deposits and lends those deposits. So it works with people's money, while the first idea of Square Capital was to work with the business money, which is a different part. Obviously, you can understand that to join the bank business, you need to go through a lot of regulations. So there are huge barriers, entry barriers. And that's why, even though the bank business is not sometimes efficient enough, continues to exist like that because of the huge amount of regulations that you need to go through. So it's not something that everyone can do. But the idea of Square, also with the Square Capital physical bank, is to serve the underserved, right? So that's has always been the main idea of Square, which is a huge market. So in my opinion, they don't need to destroy normal banks. JP Morgan won't go anywhere, will continue to exist, but it's something that they can coexist and grow together because the market is massive, in my opinion. Another interesting part about Square, I don't know if you have seen it, but it makes you understand how Jack Dorsey, even though there are a lot of criticisms, the reality is that he's a sort of a visionary, right? You can love him, you can hate him, I'm not judging, but the mind is interesting in my opinion. What he did, he bought Tidal, which is Jay-Z's music company, for 300 million. And basically his idea is that Square, to make the economy work for musicians, like the payments company has for retailers. That could mean integrating merchandise, sales, hosting, collaboration tools, or even, and here comes the bomb, NFTs content ahead, helping musicians get more bang for their tunes by creating non-fungible tokens for their work. Now, I don't know if you know what NFTs are. Basically, it's difficult to explain in just 1 minute, but anyway, are those non-fungible tokens in the blockchain, which as of now they are considered to be like funny pictures and stuff, or NBA cards. I don't know if you have heard about it, but the reality is that that particular world in the blockchain in the future can become very interesting for artists to actually publish their things without going on through all of that massive market and bureaucracy that you have with basically music's agencies. So that's another very interesting part. Whether you like it or not, it makes you understand that Jack Dorsey has a sort of a futuristic vision, as we have seen with crypto stuff and all these kind of things. And in my opinion, for a business, by looking at the future and try to be innovative is something that really makes sense. And that's probably why Cathie Wood loves Square. Anyway, as of now, I told you in the previous video that the price was probably quite high in order to be confident to buy more shares. But at the moment, we are around 216 and the Square went down below 200 on Friday. Which, if you remember from previous videos that I made, I always told you that whenever you see Square near 200 or even below is even better. In my opinion, is a nice price to buy. At the moment, the company is below 100 billion, and if they continue to do what they are doing, and if they do what they want to do in a nice way, in my opinion, the stock can double from here in the next 5 years. Just jumping on to the valuation, if you remember the previous valuation that I did, I consider a 29x EV to EBITDA multiple by basically looking at the comparables. When we have MasterCard, which has a 37.5, Visa pretty high, PayPal pretty high. However, they are pretty high because the profitability of those businesses is obviously incredibly higher than Square's one. So for Square, I have to take, of course, a lower EV to EBITDA because of the efficiency of the business. Here I consider around 17% in EBITDA margin by 2025. With a 29 actually multiple, you have that. The fair price, as I told you, was $256.24. At the price of today, actually, that's interesting because to match the price that you have, you just need an EV to EBITDA of 24, right? So we are around 213.25 and the stock right now is around 216. So if you believe in the long term of the company, that around $200, the price you have today, in my opinion, it makes more sense if you have a long-term view than the 280 that the last time I made a video, right? So the market has offered us an opportunity, and in my opinion, Square can continue to do well. They have the vision to do well. If they will be able to deliver, that stock at this price is really becoming interesting. So the market has made us a gift. I don't know whether this weakness will continue or not, but we are gonna see. Square at that price is starting really to become interesting again, right? So we can see, if you want to see the steep ranks, which are considered the smart people, analysts. That's a very interesting website, by the way. They give a Square price, fair price of around $276. So at the moment, it's an interesting price, by the way. So that's everything for this video. I hope you find it interesting, and leave me a like and leave me a comment below. Tell me, what do you think about Square? Are you buying it at that price? Or did you buy Square on Friday? Wonderful drop below 200 or not? Subscribe to the channel, and as always guys, have a wonderful day.